Just covering positive camber real quick. As you guys know, positive camber is an arc in the running length of the board that starts at the forward contact point, continuing up through the center of the board and to the tail contact point. And what that positive camber does is when you're turning, you're preloading the tip and you're preloading the tail. So when you initiate a turn, you've got a lot of precision, a lot of precise turn initiation, which feels really crisp and really fun. Through the apex of the turn, that camber's, again, preloaded and feels really lively underfoot. And in the turn completion, all that energy is released and it gives you a real snappy, powerful turn completion. So that is what camber does. I do think another aspect of camber that really needs to be pointed out is camber hasn't just remained static for the last 10 years. It's really refined with riding styles, and ours is, I think, been one of the leading edge on that front. If you guys were ever involved in snowboarding back in the mid-90s, I don't know if you remember anybody walking into a shop and throwing a board down on the floor and going, "Oh, if it doesn't have 2 fingers of camber, it ain't worth it." Those days are long, long gone. I mean, our cambers are designed to integrate with the side cut. They're very forgiving in the tip and tail, but at the same time, they give you that energy return that these guys thought they were looking for with 2 centimeters of camber back then. So again, just to recap, what positive camber delivers is stable, powerful, lively, fun snowboarding performance. Another camber line story we've got going is the hybrid camber line. Last year, we introduced it in the Anthem SS, and what the hybrid camber is positive camber from about 15 centimeters from the front contact point through the center of the board up until about 15 centimeters from the rear contact point. So you've got a positive camber line through here. At that point, we've got an inflection point in the camber line, and it goes into a reverse camber. But when you lay the board unloaded on a flat surface, the contact points are out here just like with a positive camber board. So it looks very similar to a positive camber board until you press it out. The benefit of the hybrid camber line is that you get a lot of the benefits of a positive camber. You get really crisp turn initiation because the tip and the tail are preloaded. So you get crisp turn initiation and powerful turn completion. Through the center of your turn, you've got all that lively feel that positive camber gives you. The benefit of the tips kind of rolling back a little bit, you get a little bit easier turn initiation, a little bit smoother, and you get a lot of flotation for powder or for cruddy snow. It's kind of, as we said last year, it's the best of both worlds. We're expanding the use of the hybrid into several models in the line. You'll see it's in the headline, it's in the Anthem now this year, and I think we're using it in maybe one more board, the Blue. Third camber profile I'm going to talk about is the Powder S camber. What it is, Powder S camber is a real mellow reverse camber from the front contact point through to the middle of the board. So you've got a nice mellow reverse camber here. From that point rearward, you have a positive camber. So under your rear foot, you've got camber. Under your front foot, you've got reverse camber. So it's very directional riding, but what it gives you is really smooth turn initiations, really good flotation and powder, and yet the back of your stance is on a cambered section of the board, which gives you really powerful turn completion, really precise. I've said it's the most surfy camber profile in the line, and the more I think about it, one way to explain it is that the front of the board is like a surfboard, where the rear of the board with the positive camber is a lot like having fins directly under your foot like you do on a surfboard. So you can imagine the front of the board is very loose and you can direct it where you want to go, but when you stomp on that back foot, those fins dig in and they give you all that directional stability and power. And that's what the Powder S camber does for you. All right, to wrap up with the 3 final camber profiles we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the reverse jib camber profile, and specifically what it is a straight camber line through the center body of the board. So from the middle of your binding mounting in the front to the middle of your binding mounting in the back is flat camber. From this point forward to the tail and this point forward to the tip, you've got a healthy dose of reverse camber. So what that gives you is, between the feet, it's a very stable platform for initiating tricks, for landing tricks, for locking on a rail or a ledge. But in the tips and tails, you've got the reverse camber profile, which gives you incredibly easy presses, incredibly smooth butters, and catch-free turning. Second reverse camber profile we've got going is the reverse free profile. What it is, the reverse free profile is a very mellow reverse camber from just at the end of your binding mounting area in the front to just at the binding mount, outside the binding mounting area in the rear. So you've got a nice reverse, mellow reverse camber through this area. From this point to the tail and from this point to the tip, we have straight camber. What that gives you is on mellow terrain, when you're kind of keeping it going a little bit slow, the board is very loose, very easy turning, very mellow. The board is going to have a nice amount of lift in the tip from the reverse camber. It's going to actually have a lot of flotation. But when you lay into the tip or the tail, that straight camber is going to give you a really good leverage point to kind of finish your turns powerfully, rather than, if you can imagine, the reverse camber continues out through that section, there's an opportunity to just grease out your turns and squirt off the tail. That's where the straight camber in the reverse free camber profile kind of helps offset some of that characteristic of a reverse camber board, reverse free. Final camber profile I'm going to talk about is the reverse mountain pop profile. This thing has evolved a little bit from last year's reverse mountain camber profile. Conceptually, it's trying to do the same thing. You're trying to get a board that's got some really positive characteristics of reverse camber while still giving you the precision you need to really control the board when you need to. Hence kind of the mountain description. So what it is specifically is it's a pretty healthy dose of reverse camber from this point of the board right through the center to about this point, and that's just inside your binding mounting areas. From that point forward, there's an inflection point in the camber profile, and it goes into positive camber. Positive camber in the rear, positive camber in the front. So under your binding mounting areas, or right underneath your foot, you've got positive camber. So what that gives you is the reverse camber in the middle, again, as with the reverse free, gives you relatively loose, playful feeling board, a lot of flotation and powder, kind of fun riding. But when you really load up the tip or you load up the tail, you get a lot of the characteristics of a positive camber because you're preloading the tip when you press out that positive camber. And that gives you snap off your turns and a lot of power out of the turn and really crisp turn initiations. So again, it's trying to work within the limitations and the strengths of each of those types of profiles. Reverse mountain pop profile.